All right, welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Darren Mills, and this is my friend Ben
Hello.
Hess, and we're going to double team it today. We want to see what if we can make this more engaging and exciting. So I hope that you all are having a good day, and hopefully we can learn some good information today. So here we go. Again, Dr. Darren Mills with Freedom Whole Health. My phone number is 502-410-1270, and I'm at www.freedomwholehealth.com. Please check me out. There's a lot of cool stuff. We're always here to help think about new ways of health and thinking outside the box so that we don't get stuck inside the box, inside that big box called a hospital. So we're hopeful for that. And speaking of that, I'll quickly say I went and visited a friend of mine today who, believe it or not, has vascular inflammation, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Um, and I didn't want to get into the whole thing with him, but anyway, you gotta have a desire for this stuff. But certainly, it's playing a role in his health, and especially the coagulation, aging part of it, which we'll talk about in a minute. So first, we'll talk about vascular inflammaging, and it's associated with atherosclerosis, and that has to do with plaque in the arteries. A lot of people talk about cholesterol and how that builds up plaque in the arteries. And so my take on it is it's really sugar that's getting these little barbs together that's causing the cholesterol to stick inside the arteries, which is closing them up. So that the sugar industry is helping the medical industry right along. Uh, Ben, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. And if you want to look into that a little bit more, there was a study done called the Seven Countries Study by Ansel Keys. He was paid by the sugar companies to say that fat causes heart disease because so they were going to go do a 200 country study. They in 193 of those countries, they couldn't find evidence that proved that. In fact, that proved otherwise. In the other seven, they found evidence that could be construed that way if you wanted it to. So they called it the seven country study. He did admit to taking money to falsify his findings, but that is the study that doctors are taught about when they are taught that fat causes heart disease.
Huh. I did not know that. I'd heard that name, Ansel Keys, and
Mhm.
but I like that. I like that. It can start as early as childhood, so don't give your kids processed foods. It's a great way to keep the ball rolling and keep the medical community rich, and keep your kids poor and keep them full of problems. In fact, I was talking one time to Dr. Lisa Tostado, who's here today, and we were talking about Pottinger's cats and about if you feed your kids processed foods and they feed their kids processed foods and they feed their kids processed foods, eventually they become super malnourished and can't procreate anymore. And so that is a natural way of weeding yourself out of the process of life, your family tree, of getting it out of that possibility of keeping that tree going.
One of the good things about that study, though, is they also took the cats that couldn't reproduce anymore and started feeding them a cat diet, such as fish and meat, and they were able to recover in 3 generations.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, so that's the great thing is if we start now, nothing is irreversible. I won't say that. most times things are not irreversible. There is a point of no return, uh, but most of the time, as long as you have time, you can get those things changed. Um, and I wanted to mention that blood vessels clog a little bit at a time. So typically, it doesn't happen over the course of 1 year. It'll happen over the course of several many years. Have anything to say on that?
That is definitely true.
Okay.
And unfortunately, what they found at those clogs was LDL, which is why they blamed it forever on heart disease. But now they're finding that actually LDL is there to try to remediate the inflammation that we're about to talk about, rather than causing the inflammation in the first place. So LDL is actually good for you as it carries cholesterol to parts of your body that need to use it to convert into hormones and cell walls and everything else that cholesterol is used for, which is a majority of everything that we do all day. So,
Yeah. All right. So, I had thought about forks over knives. There's a book out there called Forks Over Knives. I find it to be, especially for a short term use, a great way to. There's pictures of photographs. He was originally a surgeon, and he got tired of constantly cutting people open and putting in stents and all of those things. So he wrote a book on using your forks to help with cholesterol. And so he recommended using a vegan diet. And and what was I going to say about that? Um, they actually have pictures of arteries that were once clogged and after I don't know so many months had a much less of a clogging. So again, those veins um, can self heal if given enough time, rather than going in and those types of things.
along those lines, there's another book called Stay Off My Operating Table, written by Dr. Philip Ovadia, who was also a thoracic heart surgeon, just like the author for Forks Over Knives. And he promotes a carnivore lifestyle.
Okay.
But the thing about both carnivore and vegan is you're getting away from seed oils, you're getting away from the inflammatory foods, the processed foods that we've been eating. And just by being cognizant of what you eat helps you. So,
Well, and it makes sense to me in a way as well that carnivore diet does not mean sugar. And both of those are doing away with that one ingredient, which is, I say, probably the biggest
mhm,
promoter of atherosclerosis. And because it's not the cholesterol.
mhm,
Because for one thing, your liver is basically, from what I'm understanding, is the main producer of cholesterol.
yep.
And whether or not you eat vegan or you eat all meat, your liver is still, from what I heard, is 85% of the work. It does 85% of the producing cholesterol.
Yeah, they found that if you eat cholesterol and you overeat cholesterol, your body will not actually absorb it and will let it pass through. So you can't over cholesterol yourself. Because there's mechanisms in place to stop that.
I love it. I tend to agree with that. I wanted to talk about nitric oxide too. Nitric oxide relaxes the smooth muscles in the walls of blood vessels, and it widens them, increases blood flow, and that's a vasodilator. Nitric oxide, or I know they're in things like beets. I can't remember what all else has nitric oxide in it, but anyhow.
Our body converts nitrates into nitrous oxide. So beets are high in nitrates, and celery is incredibly high in nitrates. So
Okay.
people are like, "Oh, I don't want to add nitrates." Well, nitrates are good for us. So the uncured meats that you're getting in the grocery store now, they're not curing them with artificial nitrates, which are bad. They're curing them with celery juice,
I saw that.
and the nitrate level is way higher than before.
Oh, interesting.
So, but it's actually good for us because it converts into nitrous oxide in our system.
Yeah. I was looking at celery as being it's very high in sodium, natural sodium, which is way different than salt, and it's so good for tons of other things as well. So yeah, those two things are a great way because I was also in my research, I was looking at our body stops producing as much nitric oxide when we age, from what I'm understanding.
Uh, that is because our inflammation levels are higher.
Could be.
So our bodies switch to fighting inflammation versus creating nitrous oxide. But if we reduce our inflammation levels, our nitric oxide goes up, and then we feel lots more energy again. So
Cool. Okay, it's time for my commercial. I always do that. Again, Dr. Darren of Freedom Whole Health. I do things like I do massage. I have a biofeedback machine. I have a hyperbaric oxygen tank. I have a foot detox bath. I have a infrared sauna. I have a Rife machine. I have all sorts of things that can help you stay
cold
healthy.
laser.
Cold laser, yeah, that's a wonderful thing for people with arthritis. There's so many uses for that as well. So thank you for that. And please, if you get some benefit from this, tell other people. Also, you can if you see this on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. That'll help get more people to see me, which will be a wonderful thing to help my business grow. So thanks for that. Things that can help with inflammation is berberine, and that's of course has to do with blood sugar, but there's so many other things that berberine does. Let me look and see if I can
Yeah.
look at it. Go
So
ahead.
berberine will help reduce your blood sugar, which helps reduce insulin that needed in your system. And insulin resistance is one of the largest causes of inflammation. So that's how sugar actually causes inflammation in your system, is by causing you to release more insulin than your body should have in it. So
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was looking at was there's something called crosstalk, and it sounds like what you're talking about is
mhm,
crosstalk.
yep,
Have you heard that term before?
mhm.
I had not heard that term before today. So we'll talk a little bit more about crosstalk here in a minute. The body crosstalks and certain things can cause other things, and that's basically what crosstalk is. Um, Another thing I wanted to mention too is cap arrest, and that has more to do with cardiac aging. And I'm going to read to you what that does for your body. It neutralizes pro-inflammatory cytokines, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in just a second. So let me read that. This. 3 capsules contain 1,150 milligrams of curcuminoids, boswellia, propolis, green tea extract, ginger, rosemary, celery seed extract, resveratrol, alpha lipoic acid, and cane juice extract, which I don't know why they put that in, but there's a reason. Phytolins and pipernicum. The product inhibits the production of NF-kappa B, a molecule inside each cell that becomes activated to stimulate the production of inflammatory chemicals that promote pain, inflammation, and a variety of other problems such as heart disease, lupus, arthritis, and other free radical problems. So anyway, that I thought that sounded like a good. It has a lot of good stuff in it, and it seems to mediate those pro-inflammatory cytokines. You want to talk about a little bit more about cytokines? Do you know about that?
Um,
I know a
not
little
at
bit
this
about.
moment.
Okay, well, cytokines basically, it's your body's reaction to what it thinks is an invader. So it creates sometimes a cytokine storm, but otherwise it creates a low inflammation, low grade inflammation, which is what we've talked about. And that creates aging. That's the aging process right there. If you're constantly having a low grade inflammation, um, it's going to make again your chronic age is going to match your health age much more if you're having chronic inflammation. We'll say it like that. And the yeah, and so we'll leave it at that. I will say some. Me and Ben had an interesting talk about fecal transplants. Um, I'm for it. I don't know if he's for it or against it,
I
but
would be
anyhow,
against it.
he's against it, but I'm for it. And and only in pretty extreme cases, I don't think somebody has a stomach ache needs to go get a fecal transplant, but someone with some serious problems, someone basically what you're doing is you're getting the fecal material from a very healthy human being, and you can do that in pill form, enema, or not colonoscopy. And if yeah, but they said you're right. It is probably more like a colonic, but they said a colonoscopy
Oh,
in
while
the.
they're doing the scope, I
I
guess,
guess
maybe,
maybe they can. I don't know. I don't think it has a sprayer inside the microscope, but who knows? Maybe.
maybe they just don't clean it from the last person.
Well, there's always that. So. But if somebody has horrible dysbiosis and they're on death's door, so I think a guy had colon cancer, and a friend of mine, he recommended this guy go. I don't know where he went, to be honest with you, but go get a fecal transplant. And he has turned his life around. He works out like 2 hours a day every day. He went ahead and retired. He's been alive like 5 years, and according to my friend, he weighed like 90 pounds. So, and now he's up to like 190 or something. He's a good, strong, healthy weight. So in those cases, and just hearing that testimony alone, I think it's pretty cool. Again, it's not something that's fun, but I would do it if I was dying. Um, it has it's good according to the Googles. It's good for ulcers, Crohn's, C. diff, and ulcerative colitis. But I will throw that extra one out there because of what that testimonial I heard about. So we'll leave it at that. Did you want to mention anything about that, Ben?
Nope.
Okay. And according to Floor, you can get a fecal transplant in Boston. Thank you for that. Yeah, I saw that you could. I think I did see that in Boston, and I think a lot of different. There's like at least 5 hospitals now that they mentioned on there, and I'm guessing there's probably a few more. I will talk about coagulaging, and that's crosstalk between inflammation and coagulation. And so, a lot of times, what they were talking about with this COVID-19 is you had hyperinflammation. It was creating hyperinflammation in people, and people were already inflamed, and they had coagulation. So it created again like a cytokine storm, and a lot of people died from that due to the power and that initially the COVID-19 virus had. I think it's to me what it sounds like is it's dying. It's lost a lot of its power due to what I'm going to call herd immunity, which is what has always been when
And
most
they
of the
started
nation
treating
do.
it instead of letting you just sit there and die.
Well, maybe you're right. Uh, but did you have anything else to say about that?
Yeah, so one of the major things that causes this is cortisol. Cortisol helps the crosstalk process. And so if you can reduce your cortisol, then you'll reduce these kind of effects. So,
Okay. So Ben and I, last but not least, we have a eat meat versus eat vegetables feud going on.
sort of.
Not a real feud. It's a friendly feud, but not even really. He does believe in eating some vegetables at least.
Mhm.
So but he mentioned that people who eat vegetables, they have confounders that are not taken into account. And then he talked about that most people who eat a lot of vegetables mostly stay away from sodas. They mostly stay away from seed oils. And because to me, they're vigilant. They are vigilant about their health.
Mhm.
And they do exercises in various ways. They don't smoke and they don't drink as much alcohol. And so there is that. But I would say that people who have become um, carnivore now have the same. They're
Yep.
very vigilant.
Because I've met
That's what
both
some of the other
vegans
comments.
and carnivores that didn't get rid of the seed oils and or the processed foods,
Mm,
and they didn't get the benefits. And like, it does, that diet didn't work for me. It's like,
mm,
no, you didn't do the lifestyle change. You stayed the same, but called yourself something else.
yeah.
So, in that I've seen that, like I said, vegans, I've seen it in carnivore, I've seen it keto, whatever you want to call them. And then they're like, oh, it didn't work for me. So,
Well, this is as far as I got in my research. Do you have some research that you want to talk about?
um, just that some things that have been put on this planet for us. Uh, we've got biblical eating, which is meats, red meats in particular, from cows and things like that. They're finding that every day they're finding that it's more and more healthy for you. But there's lots of things like grapes and figs that have all kinds of awesome abilities to reduce inflammation. And one of the other big ones that reduces inflammation is fresh milled bread. Actually, there's chemicals. A lot of people call them anti-nutrients in bread. And we're not talking the flour from the grocery store. That's dead stuff. Stay away from it. It's toxic. But if you mill your own grain and you eat it, you get huge amounts of vitamin E. You get huge amounts uh, of things that will actually remove inflammation from your body, along with heavy metals and other toxic chemicals, and will help you reduce your aging. They're finding. And you can find more information on that from redbeckers.com. It'll lead you to all kinds of stuff.
And you said Red Beckers,
Yep,
not Bakers.
not Bakers,
Beckers.
Red Beckers. Because their last name is Becker.
Cool. Well, I will say as a testimonial for Ben, Ben has been a bread maker for quite some time now, and he talked me into eating some of his bread, and I was very skeptical that I wouldn't get ill because I've been a gluten-free guy for 20 years, and so I ate a half a slice and nothing happened. So the next day I ate a full slice and nothing happened. Then I ate a whole sandwich and nothing happened. Meaning I didn't have any reaction. And I do find it
You
to be
probably have to go to the
helpful.
bathroom pretty go.
Probably. But it was a wonderful eye-opening experience that I'm not necessarily allergic to wheat. I'm allergic to the process that these industrial tycoons have come up with, for lack of a better word. I don't think there's any bread that's on the shelf um, that is a wheat bread that I can eat. I have horrible stomach pains, and it that inflammaging, I think, it inflames my brain even, and I get even confused, and it's a weird bad situation when I eat that stuff. There's floor.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing that you brought up earlier was salt, sodium.
Yeah.
Table salt, the iodized table salt, is actually salt mixed with dextrose. And that's why it's so addictive, right?
Huh.
So you want to find actually a good quality salt, like Redmond sea, real salt, pink Himalayan salt, uh, Celtic sea salt, things like that. That way you're not getting that extra dextrose that they're adding to make it more addictive.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
because good quality salt actually gives you missing micro minerals and nutrients that we need that you can't get anywhere else, especially in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
and will actually help reduce inflammation.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, I wanted to say this has been very I appreciate Ben coming, and he has to drive a long way. And so I really appreciate his support, and it makes me think, and I hope it's making you think. And that's what it's all about. I don't want to sit up here and know all the answers because I don't have all the answers all the time. And I'm glad to have been here. I'm glad that we were able to have some friendly banter and some interesting conversation. And that's what this should all be about. It should be a community and not somebody that's some of these doctors that come on nowadays. They'll come up with these ideas and people follow them seemingly blindly. And I'm not going to name any names, but I sometimes scratch my head thinking, are they just coming up with crap so people will follow them? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. The people who did. I hope that we get 1 million views due to our congenial personalities and and all that kind of stuff. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording. This was